my sugary little rodeo clowns. Today we have a fun one. This is going to be nice. You're going to like this. It's going to be long and extremely boring, but you are going to learn something. Today, on ProMasters Only, we're going to talk about technical service bulletins, TSBs and recalls and so on. And what I'm going to do, it occurred to me to be a good idea to go through every single one of the TSBs that are available for 14 ProMaster, meaning if you have anything newer than these things I'm going to mention, it will have already been taken care of. By the time you buy a 2017, all the problems from 2014 will be taken care of. But all new vehicles have problems, and here we go. This is how this is going to work. You're going to look at my computer screen because I'm not smart enough to figure out any other way to do this because I'm old and not technically savvy. Okay, I am behind you. We are together. Let's party. This is from ALLDATA. This is all the technical service bulletins for 2014 ProMaster, and what I'm going to do is do them in reverse order, and I'll explain a little bit about each one. I should add that a TSB is something that if you were to go and complain to the dealer about, they would replace it for free. It is not a recall. It's distinct from a recall because a recall is federally mandated to be mandatory. Chrysler is required to contact you, or at least attempt to contact you and get you to come in and take care of that problem. That's what differentiates a recall from a technical service bulletin. There are also some other things in here, actions, and for a lot of this stuff, it's going to be what's called a software flash or a software update. That's something the dealer is supposed to do every time a vehicle that's within a reasonable time frame comes in. They're supposed to check and see if there's any updated software for the computer and update that. Very simple procedure to do so. Let's move on, shall we? So we're going to start here. I'm sure this is nauseating on your end, but it must be done and we must do it together. So we're going to start here. Here you'll notice the date, October 16th of 2013. This is a full 8 months before the vans were offered for sale in June of 2014. But as you would expect, they build up a pre-inventory that they can ship to dealers so that when the thing goes on sale, there's actually ones to buy. They don't just start building them that day. They start quite a bit earlier. One of my vans is a 9 of 2013 build, very early build. Very good van, too. Okay. And as I mentioned, you're going to see a lot of these in the early part of ownership, or early part when the things were on sale, because that's when they identify problems and they fix them. Okay, let's go. This is a check engine light for a P06. It doesn't really matter what that is because by the time you bought your van, that would have been long taken care of. We don't need to talk about this. This is a NHTSA action, so that's a true recall. And again, we're in February. We're still 3 or 4 months from introduction. They had a bad brake hose. They had an accelerator pedal problem. As we move up, this is ignore that, the tire flat spotting. Okay, so there were some radio updates here in March of 2014. Let's take a look at one of these and you can see what this actually looks like, what the TSB looks like. So they're going to give you the number, the group, the date, the subject. Well, you can read, you're literate. This bulletin involves confirming that the radio is at the most current software version to assist in the diagnosis and repair of the radio and nav units, then validating that the symptom condition was repaired with the latest update, and so on. And this is all Chrysler models. So this is going to be a Uconnect system-wide thing, and it's going to involve the flash process, and they're going to show you here. They're showing the dealer how to update it, and this is, for the description, audio was having trouble finding things in the time allowance and so on and so forth. But that's basically what that looks like. Okay, let's go back. Where were we? Navigation. All right, this is for Canada. This is for an accelerator pedal stop and the rubber brake hose damaged during assembly, as you can see. The NHTSA, which is the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, is the American version. Canada has their own version. But they're in the same thing because here you see the actions for these 2 recalls in American. This is a funny one to me from May of that year. Install fuse puller in vehicle glove box. Shit, Merv, forgot to put the fuse pullers in it. Well, get them back and give the guy a fuse puller. Whoop-dee-dee, a fuse puller. All right. Electrical system corrosion. This one was very interesting, and that is a NHTSA action from June. So this would affect some people, but very few. If we were to look at this recall, what it goes on to say is airbags, says 2 documents. Vehicles manufactured between April and May, the vehicles affected may experience circuit corrosion from water intrusion around the in-floor battery cover and door footwell trim. In other words, water was leaking in there and it could corrode things. That doesn't mean it did corrode things. It could corrode things. The remedy was notify owners. They're going to replace, they're going to put some dielectric grease on there. They're going to do a thing with a fuse, and that's it. And not very exciting. Again, oh, boring myself. That would have been done long ago. All right, we're going to move even quicker now because, you know, I'm only so young. We've been at this 5 minutes already. Electrical system, front airbags may rupture. Again, that would have been taken care of as a recall action. Oil change calculation enhancement, that would have been a flash update. This one is worth talking about. This is a P0520, super common code, and has been since, as I understand it, the 90s when they started using this one part. That is the oil pressure sensor in your oil cooler, and when it goes bad, which it does constantly, it generates a 520 code with no other symptoms. It is that sensor, and you can replace it, and then some number of years later it will fail again. They're just very flaky, and Chrysler's never really done much to it. If you read this recall, it says replace it with this other part, but that part doesn't solve the problem necessarily. Super common code, and you could totally ignore it because the engine has other ways of knowing its oil pressure, other sensors. Unable to program the vehicle top speed, that's a software update in the that you could flash in there, because they do have a governor if you want to have that. I don't know who's racing these things, but whatever. Foreign material enters cargo compartment. This one's interesting, from August of that year. I happened to look earlier because I research these things before I talk to you people. This bulletin applies to vehicles built before April. There are no vehicles built before that serial number. What they're saying here is the wheel well was leaky and the fix was a can of goop or something. Yeah, he's squirting a sealant in there. High tech. Wow, that is high tech. So apparently there was a leak there and whatever, but very, very, very few vans would have that problem. All right. Now that you know what the general thing is, and by the way, these TSBs are all public knowledge. Nobody is hiding this information from you. Type in your year in the ProMaster and TSB, and it'll probably pull up the exact same list. All right, installed. Let's see where I was here. Airbags, oil change, P0520. Foreign material. Here we have rear end squeak, a creak and noise. This was a big topic of discussion in 2014 because I was an early adopter. It turned out that what you do is shoot some white lithium grease in the rear springs and in the rear spring shackles, and the rear end stops squeaking. They did have an actual recall on the head restraint because it was not within spec of NHTSA. It was off by a few millimeters. Again, you buy a van after this date and they're all going to have the updated one, so very, very few of you will need to worry about this. The heated mirror feature, same thing, it was inoperable. You see, he just inop. Okay, so it had a bad LED on the light on one of the three knobs on the dash. The tire pressure monitoring system non-compliance, that would have been fixed long ago. This is extended crank to start. I did a video on this. Affects very few but early vans if you have that problem. Here's two similar electrical circuit things from Canada. Okay, this one's funny to me. Exterior lamp condensation. Many of you have this problem where water builds up in the headlight, and their solution to it was A, to show you a headlight from a dart, B, to show you water condensing in there, and then C, it says 0.2 hours. I don't know what it's saying. The condensation is 20 minutes, large amounts of water droplets, issued lamp sealing, moisture. The fix is actually remove one of the two bra cups on the back of the little access panels on the back of your headlight housing, and then that water will evaporate, and that solves that problem for no money and no time. But all right, okay, we're here now. Interior seat cover replacement, I've never encountered that. Brakes. The squealing brakes problem, again, was a big complaint early in ownership. The solution was that Chrysler forgot to use a stuff called brake anti-squeal paste, which is like a glue that glues the pad to the caliper and prevents that oscillation and squeaking. If your brakes are squeaking, super simple fix, $3 any auto parts store. Transmitter won't cycle doors. I read that earlier. It wasn't very conclusive. Windshield wiper blade maintenance. The backlighting dimmer switch is inoperative. That would be for the instrument cluster. Let's see what they say about that. WeTech software, so they're gonna flash it. The bullet relocation of the backlight dimmer circuit, installation of the AC pressure dimmer switch. So they are okay. So they are going to install a part, and they're going to show you the part numbers that you would use, some wiring and a jumper and a clip and a fastener, and they'll show you where everything would be and what you would have to do to fix that problem if you were the dealer, and how much time they're going to pay the dealer to do it. All right, let's continue on here. I'm going to move a little faster because, Christ, it's been 10 minutes and I'm bored. All right, a rattle from the rear door. This is interesting and something I have never personally encountered. Now, this is all the way up in March of 16, so this is going to affect quite a few of us. Check this nonsense out. They're saying that if the customer complains about the rear door, to replace this latch mechanism with these part numbers, and I thought they showed the guy doing it, 0.8 hours, so 45 minutes or whatever. But they're saying that this latch can be better designed to grab the bottom of the door better. Interesting. I wonder if it, yeah, you would just buy that part and put it on. It's just 2 bolts. Okay. Here's where it's fun stuff starts happening. Emissions recall, that's for a diesel. Wheel chocks, don't care. Trailer light brakes may not illuminate, that's on you. Trailer towing module. Again, these are going to be software updates, I assume. This is very interesting. So customer satisfaction notice. This is in Canada, I guess. Card laminate. Oh, this is dumb. I remember reading this. The card that tells you how to take the spare tire down was printed wrong or had bad instructions, and they're telling you open the glove box and take out the manual and put in this new card, and it tells you how to take the tire down, which you don't do anyway. All right. Trailer towing, powertrain, diagnostic systems, and system enhancements. That's going to be a software flash from January 2017. This is going to be a change in how they list the code. Improper airbag information. I believe that is the visor sticker. Yes, that is the sun. There's a sticker on the sun visor that was printed wrong or something that they're supposed to do. That is a true recall, believe it or not. You have to take it to the dealer to have them put a new sticker on the visor that you'll never read. Outside mirror turn signal is operative. I forget what the solution was for that. It sounds like a bulb. Replace both its housings and bulbs. Oh, it replaces the whole housing. Okay, that's very interesting. Experience external light failure, excessive blinking. By the way, when your lights blink fast, it tells you that bulb is out. Amber bulbs may distort from excessive heat. All right, so the parts included would be bulbs and the housings. Fascinating, fascinating. I have never encountered that, but certainly could happen. And then they're showing you, or showing the tech how to do all this fun stuff. All right, we're getting to the fun stuff here. Failure code, change tire pressure. Door warning ajar, a fire extinguisher, fluorescent. This is telling you that they actually put dye in the AC Freon. It's not Freon, but when they made it, engine. This is interesting too. It goes on to say that Chrysler considers excessive oil consumption to be more than a quart every 2,000 miles. I will tell you that I have never encountered a Pentastar that it burns even a drop of oil. They just aren't oil burners. It just has not happened. Leaks, maybe, but burning has never happened at any mileage. Okay, this is a TSB telling you do not flush your transmission, as what you should already know if you watch this channel. This is a label. This is interesting to some people. This is from 2019. They issued, it's not a recall, it's a TSB on the bolts for the transmission mount. So if for any reason you ever have the transmission mount out, you're supposed to replace the bolts with single-use torque-to-yield bolts. Now, I will tell you that on my vans, I have personally reused the bolts and I have not had any problems. The reason this is here, it's kind of complicated, but the guts of it is that when the way the transmission is suspended in the van, if it gets hit, if the van gets bashed really hard in a collision on the front driver's side, the transmission mount will break, and they, if that happens, they don't want this to be stressed. It's, I mean, you know, it's a safety thing. But anyway, they sell you a kit that has a new bolts, and you replace them and like that. As I say, you're not supposed to reuse the bolts, but I have. Emissions recall, that's going to be a flat software update. Left transmission mount bracket fasteners. Scan tool support before and after collapse. This is talking about reprogramming the airbags. Use of salvage parts. This is just boilerplate. It tells you don't use junkyard parts, or Chrysler doesn't respect it if you use junkyard parts, whatever. Use repair parts. Use of aftermarket parts. Use authentic Mopar glass. Sure, if you want to pay more money for glass. This is a real recall that many of us had. I want to say the shifter recall was earlier than that, but January of 2020. But there is a recall on the shifter cable where the shifter cable will bind up and you won't be able to get it out of park. They replace the cable. It's very quick and easy, but it is something that's a freebie that you should do because it is a true recall. blending clear coat during the refinishing process. There's a few things in here about the door check strap. You may have noticed that the check strap, the metal thing that keeps your driver's side door from swinging open too far when the wind gets it, is now broken and cracked, and that can be replaced with this part number. You could also fix that just by using a piece of cloth or nylon webbing or whatever, or just keep a good hold of the door when the wind catches it. A large percentage of the ProMasters we see have damage at that check strap. It's just the nature of the beast. Drivability with winter blend. Safety recall, there's more on the NHTSA shifter cable. Disinfectant for COVID-19. More check strap. Steering system inspection after a collision. This just says that if the airbags have popped, that you're probably going to want to replace the steering column. That's really more for the dealer, but okay. Water quality mixed with coolant. WeTech small verification leak. This is a software patch for a small evap leak. Although we have found that that is not the solution. The solution is cheap and easy, but I'm sure it's correct. Okay, this is was news to me. From March of this year, they now sell a CV boot replacement. In the past, I have not been able to find anything, even kooky off-road stuff, to fit. But now they sell a part number, and you could replace just the boot if you had a torn boot. That's quite nice. This is again the webbing kit on the driver's front door, sun visor labels, and use of weld-through primers. It just says body men should need to primer everything before they bolt it back together because it'll rust. That is all your recalls. Now, I missed one here because this one is important for some of you. Let's see if I can find it again. This was a recall on the radiator. Did I miss a bunch of stuff? Install fuse, puller oil change, 520. We talked about that. Electrical circuits. Head restraint, tire pressure, strut shock replacement guides is from 2015. It's just showing you what to look for in a leaky strut. Steering wheel not center, pulls to the right or left. Squeaky noise from the spare tire winch. They would just lube it. Front door speaker, distorted sound, intermittent coolant loss. Okay, now this is very interesting here. Radio software enhanced. Okay, I did miss this one. So this is talking about the coolant loss, and what we refer to this as the radiator recall. All, not a few or some, but all the early vans were leaking at the radiator seams. What happened was, in the early builds, Chrysler had a bad run of radiators, built between January 13 and June of 14, where the seam would split, where the aluminum radiator core is bonded to the plastic side tanks. And it took a while to find it. I only found it because the salt scum that they spray on the roads around here, allowed me to see the leaky coolant at the radiator seams. Chrysler issued it wasn't a recall, again, it was a TSB, but it was they would replace your radiator under warranty. Here's a picture of what it's doing there, right there. This is very, very common for this type of radiator, and it's super common in the ProMaster, and it's one of the reasons why a good chunk of my business is chasing slow coolant leaks and the reek of antifreeze. Super common. There's a few places on the van where it leaks. Luckily, they don't overheat and they don't fail, but they do leak occasionally. It's telling the dude here that it's going to take somebody 12 minutes to diagnose it, or 10 minutes, whatever, and 2.5 hours to replace the radiator. That's about right. Time allowance, service action. It does not say it's if the customer describes a symptom, perform this repair. So this is a squeaky wheel gets the greasing kind of thing, just like all TSBs. And that, kids, I believe it concludes everything we have learned. At least everything I've learned, about what might be on your van. Now, remember, your van, if it's very early, all these would apply, but as time goes by, less and less apply. This is why the later a vehicle is built, the higher quality it is, because a lot of these problems get solved and ironed out. And now, we have wasted 20 minutes together, and I have enjoyed every second of it. Until next time, my furry friends.